Hey guys, Saga here. Welcome back to the channel. I know a lot of you are excited for the second video that's in the making right now. But for now, I have some spicy Q&A that I had with Rickytan on the Coaching Sunday stream, guys. So a lot of people from community asked him a lot of questions regarding PvP, and Rickytan was with us to answer them at his best knowledge. And if anybody of you does not know Rickytan, then he's a 1900 plus TMR player currently considered to be in the top 5% of PvP population of TEMTEM, guys. And there is some really insightful answers that he has given that I really want to share with you guys. And I have tried to cut as less as possible to make the video as informative as possible. So please take your time and have a good look at it, guys. And also, if you do like this content that I'm pushing out, please do like, share, and smash that subscribe button, guys. And if there is any feedback for me that I can implement in my videos, then I really recommend you guys to put a comment down below and let me know what I can do to make the changes so that I can make them happen. And without further ado, let's go into the video, guys.
Spaghetti, I think there's like multiple stages to PvP. Like the first stage is just getting your game logic down. So I think once you get the game logic down, so game logic is like two things, right? So when you go up against a TEM, obviously knowing the typings, what's good against it, what's not good against it, what can resist it, what it could be using, what it will probably be using based on like the current meta and what you've seen other people use, and then generally just how much damage that TEM can do based on its base stats. So that's just game logic, right? Like anybody can look at the numbers, look at the Wikipedia or the Tempedia and get all that information. And then after that, the second part of the game comes with reading habits, and that's the really, really hard part. So, for example, if you're in a situation where you have two TEMs facing each other, or four TEMs facing each other down, that's the thing you just never have to forget, is that when you're theory crafting or anything like that, you always have you have two TEMs. You never plan to have one TEM on the board. So if you're ever saying like to play well, you always have to efficiently think about two TEMs, which is something that's like still like a lot of people still aren't good at. Like depending on what I see, like sometimes I'm still not great at it either. It depends on what combos you're facing and how much experience you have dealing with it too.
Tell me something. I had a question of my own. How do you decide when you see a combo in front of you? Let's just say you see a Ukama and a Valorant.
Okay.
What makes you make the decision, like when should you back out from it and when should you double in on one of them?
So so it really depends, right? So for example, let's say it's Ukama Valorant, and on my side I have Valorant Wolfie, for example. Or so for me, I know that I can probably just kill Ukama for my set. I know that my set personally, I could probably just kill Ukama outright. So I wouldn't switch. Even though I know that if they have doppel Vola, I'm gonna eat a face full turn one, right? Alternatively, if I think, okay, this opponent has played me before, he knows that my Vola is faster turn one, he knows I'm gonna kill his Ukama, then, or especially if it's like a tournament, it's a best out of three, right? Like this opponent knows, right? Then he's gonna swap Ukama or he's gonna do something else. I'm gonna plague and feather Gatling the Vola because I know that my Vola has doppel, then it's gonna be more worth it for me to do that. That way I can lock in his Vola, go up +1 speed, and do somewhere roughly about 50% damage, and that part just depends on your spread. So I probably wouldn't. So it just depends on what TEMs I have on the board is what I would back out of. I think a good example is today, one of our matches for our team.
Yeah.
We had on our side Ukama Vola, and on their side it was Vola Grumper. And considering that in Ukama Vola double can't kill Grumper, but a double from either of those TEMs onto either of the TEMs we had on the board would probably kill us. But we thought in that sense, right? So if they double, then one TEM pretty much goes scot-free, right?
Correct.
If they don't double and we swap, we lose all of our momentum because we didn't have a good like pivot to take half damage, and something was just eating damage for free.
Correct.
Now we had a doppel vola on our side, so we said, okay, if we hit the vola, we'll do 50%, which we didn't do 50%, we did like 40, which is still fine, right? And then we hit the grumper with a water cannon. The grumper went, and then they doubled our Ukama, and our Ukama went down. I think that's how that played out. But either way, right? Now you have a grumper that's below 50% HP, maybe even lower, that you can bring something else in to kill. That had 3, because the grumper is so slow, and their vola is 40%. So now you have, and you're +1 speed, and they weren't aerobic. So like taking that one gamble put us all the way up. And if we didn't take that gamble, and if we, let's say that gamble worked out in the way where they also split damage, neither of our TEMs were getting one shot anyways. So I think the ultimate goal of deciding when to switch and when to not switch, it really comes down to how well you know your team, which is why I think it's like theory crafting is really important, but playing with your team a lot, hitting up people you know, playing with your team, hitting ranked matches, and just getting really used to how much damage can I take and where can I take it.
I see. Also, one more question from my end before I start reading chat's questions is, well, I forgot, so let me just read the chat question. Ricky, if you are in a good position, how do you balance predicting switch ends versus punish what stays in?
If you're in a good position, I think, I mean, like if you're in a good position 99% of the time, you're gonna want to stay in, and just punish that slot, because if you think that they're gonna switch, right? That's the only time, is if you think that something is gonna wall. But sometimes even if you think they're gonna switch, the better option is to hit anyways, because if you swap, if you try to make the predict and you swap and they don't swap, then generally you have to feel, then you might be in a worse position. It's why for me personally, I like to play at least one cage user on my team, because cage allows you to kind of control that to where if you're in a good position, you can kind of lock that. Or let's say your cage tem's about to die, you can kind of lock your cage tem in there, but you also lock their tems, and then one of your tems dies and you just bring in their counter for a revenge kill. So I think that's where cage can come in handy as well. But obviously Janice, I think that really depends. Like it depends on what tems are on the board and what tems are in the back.
I see. Okay, so I remember the question that I was going to ask myself. It's actually how, like, when do you think it's smart to stop, like, to start reading your opponent? And let's just say they have a Kino on the back and a Gialis in the field, and I have a Raiken and something else, and let's just say I have a Raiken and a Gialis in my side. Now I want to do a crystal bite on that Gialis because I think the Kino might come in, but I'm predicting a move from my enemy, right? So when is the correct time to actually guess if it's actually happening? Or you should not always read your opponent or try to become a 5-head, because I have been punished a lot of times because I try reading them and they did not swap. Like, the Gialis did not swap. He just stays there and he punishes me.
So that comes with so that comes to like the second part of what I was saying earlier about playing, like, so game logic is one side, right? You know in your head, you said no, why would you stay in with the Gialis, right?
Correct.
But in their head, they're saying, but I can hit the Gialis for a lot here. And it also depends on what's in their other slot, right? So for example, if I had Kinu, and let's say I have Wolfie Gialis on the board, my Wolfie is like, let's say 60% HP. I know that your Raiken can probably kill my Wolfie based on my spread, right?
Correct.
Especially with synergy. Let's say you bring in synergy, but I have Dust Vortex up, so I don't want to swap. But so you could make the predict, because 9 out of 10, if I want to hit you with that Dust Vortex and be able to live, let's say your Raiken's faster. If I want to live because of synergy, and I want to live and bring in and Dust Vortex you, then I have to bring in Kinu, right? So then that's when you can start making predict. Like that's the safest time that you can make a predict, I think, is knowing that the enemy has to do something. If you put them in a situation where they have to do something to win, or they pretty much there's only one way they could win, and it's a big gamble, like bringing in a Kinu against in a field with a Raiken, for example. Now, ideally, I think if you have a Raiken and a Gialis, and on the other side there's a Gialis, dude, you don't have to make the read, right? Like you don't have to worry about if Kinu comes in.
Yeah, just double in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just giving an example off my head, but yeah, in the ideal situation, I won't have a Raiken and a Gialis. Maybe a Gialis and something else, and I want to crystal bite it because I know that a Kinu might be coming in on that slot. So sometimes I do get punished, but it's like whenever I drop below 1100, I feel that. But the moment I cross 1200 and I come into like 1300 ranges, I feel like, okay, whatever I'm reading is actually working. Like people are doing that because I expect them, but in the lower places, like I just say below 1100, it's a different way people think. They try to get as much damage as possible instead of meditating, right? Like, what's the word, the correct word? Trying to reduce the damage taken. Instead, they go for doing the max damage, like on the face.
And again, that comes with game logic, right? So,
yeah.
Once you pass the 1200s, more people are playing like, oh, now more people are playing off traits, attacks, typings. So they're gonna think less along the game logic and how they can benefit most in the long run as opposed to the short run. Because I think that you have to have a pretty decent level of game logic to be able to get to anywhere between like 12 to 1300 range. Like you've got a pretty good sense of game logic. Like you know what's going on in the game. And if you lose one, you could actually probably look back and know exactly where you lost. But then I think like again, so then it becomes habit reading, right? Especially if you're playing the same player. Like for example, I know, let's say like me and you have played 3 times.
Correct.
I know you're gonna make the read on me. I know you're gonna swap when I swap. So what if I don't swap then? What happens when I leave my Gialis in front of your Raiken? Or let's say I know you think I'm gonna bring in Kinu. So what if I don't bring in Kinu? But that's the other thing, right? Bringing in Kinu might not always be the best play. In your head, you might think, oh, if I crystal bite this, right, this is the best play. But what if there was something in the back like a Wolfie or a Turok, for example, or even a Calibus, right? Like what if they're like, you know what, screw the protector. This is the best thing to eat that for now, and then provide pun. And let's say you had a Raiken, they bring out Calibus. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's true. Finally found a match. And Broccoli is asking what TV built for Gulder and Nidrasil on the current meta.
Oh man, I have no idea about a Gulder build.
Full stamina, full speed.
So I know people that play Gulder. I've never personally played Gulder. I would assume full bulk. Now I don't know, like, what I don't really necessarily know. I would probably, for me, I might think higher special defense, but I don't know. Like I really don't. I don't know that you put any damage on it because it doesn't necessarily have a good special attack or a good attack that it can use. I really wanted to get something like a Toxic Plume. If it got like a good special toxic attack, then yeah, I would definitely think about investing in some special attack. But right now, probably just full bulk. That would be more of a Matt Gia question. Nidrasil, so Nidrasil is like, it's weird. You can do a full bulk Nidrasil, but I actually, and I think some people have started to do it now too. Like I've seen a lot more of it. Like putting some attack on Nidrasil. I think it takes like 211 attack TVs for a Nidrasil narcoleptic hit to one-shot a Scunch from 500 HP if it's not running double screen. With double screen, I think that's like 250 TVs. And then, so you basically, if you do that to Nidrasil, you always have a third like let's say you only run 2 mentals or 1 mental, you kind of have like a second or third mental to help fight Yowlers and Momos and Scunches and things like that. So definitely I would look into running some attack on Nidrasil and then bulking the rest.
And Matt GS says full bulk everything. Health is asking, when does Rickytan show up for questions? He will show up, guys. Once in a week, he will try to show up, even if it's for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I promise Saga I try to help out newer players as much as I can, just because I think right now the community is kind of, especially before Sipanku, is going to get into like a really stagnant position. But I know, like, just from watching, like, scrolling through streams sometimes, that there are people that play. But like I said, it's hard to. So you got to get the game logic, and then you got to get habit reading, and then you got to put them together, and it's hard. So, and then you also have the theory crafting part too, right? So if I can help people get better, my idea is that the more people that get better, the more that people will be creative and theory craft more interesting things, and the more diversity that we're going to have in the comp community. So as much as I can help out, I will.
What do you expect from Sipanku and digital temps?
I'm actually kind of scared for Sipanku because of how strong Yowler and Momo are right now, and we already have like pretty limited supply of mental. If they don't put any nerfs down on Yowler and Momo, like if Sipanku comes out, you think about it right now, the only real way to deal with them are hard hitting mentals, and we're literally about to introduce an entire island of Tems that can kill mentals on top of an island that we already have with the crystals, right? So electrics will be interesting for sure. Digitals I think are going to be super interesting. I've talked to a bunch of people. There's already like a bunch of crazy stuff that people are talking about for as far as like things that we can run with digital, especially knowing like Azuma has fast charge, for example. Like a fast charge plus protector. Like I was talking to, like you could do so much. But then it's also weak to itself. It's weak to water. I can't wait. So for me personally, I can't wait to see the first melee electric. So melee is my favorite typing. So if there's a good melee electric, then I think that I could run a better melee team that's still like highly aggressive, because I'd be able to also counter the mentals, which is like, it's crazy to me. It's still crazy to me that we're getting mentals first. Oh, and then Amphitheater. That'll be dope too. I think Amphitheater is gonna be the death of Ukama Volorant openers.
So one question before I put in Diego's question is that, do you think Azuma is S tier if he gets one strong electric move on his kit, which he does not have right now?
I think Gazuma would definitely be like A tier for sure. I don't know that Gazuma would be necessarily S tier. I think Gazuma could make other Tems S tier 100%. I don't think Gazuma by itself would be S tier, just because we have a lot of good crystal types. By a lot, I mean like really 3 off the top of my head that I would really use myself. But like, even if you think about it, like Gazuma doesn't want to see Xenareth, right? And then you have Mix is really good. Valash is really good. Gialis, we all know about. Tuvine isn't terrible. I think Tuvine's underwhelming in a general sense, but it's not like into a Gazuma is still going to be good. So I don't think it would be S tier, but I think that it would be strong. I mean, personally, I don't even think that an electric attack would be cool, but I think the first thing it needs is a wind attack. It has no toxic coverage. Like, there was a decent bit of time when I tried to run it as one of my 2 wins back in Tukma, because I was like, because I needed a wind wall, but I also needed to kill toxics, because Matt Gia was kicking my ass, and I was like on ladder, and I was like, damn. So I played Windblade Gazuma for a while, and then I was like, this just isn't working. Matt Stratton, no, there's no electric melee confirmed. I'm just hoping.
I mean, we can only assume that Ragnet will be electric melee. That dude's got bigger fists than Floyd.
What are you
And
brushing their health? Yeah,
Janice,
continue.
no, I didn't change any spreads just for Yowler, because in my mind it's like, if I ever get into a matchup, like I never made any calcs specifically to live a Yowler. Like I do calcs for other things. Like I do calcs to make certain times live other things, especially if I know that there's gonna be a common matchup. But I definitely did not do that for Yowler because it's almost not worth it. Like a comebacker Savage Suplex is gonna do so. Like I hit somebody's Barnshy the other day for 48% no comebacker. That's ridiculous. Like why would I even spec? Why would I even like spec my temp for that? You kind of just have to play around Yowler. Have 1 to 2 mentals ready at least. But yeah, that's just how I personally feel about Yowler. I don't know if other people spec to live Yowler. I just don't think that it's a great idea. It's like trying to live Momo. Like if I have a Tem that's gonna get one shot by Momo, better to just not have it on the field, because that Tem is probably meant to do something else. I can't stand Momo, but at the same time, it's like I can't spec something just to live that. Otherwise, you're looking at sacrificing damage. You're looking at sacrificing speed, and like the way that I play my teams, you can give up a little bit of one or the other for certain Tems, but you can't really, like, it just, again, it depends on your team. Like if you're using a team like a Doom team or a Toxic team that requires bulk anyways, then yeah, that's one thing. But if you're using a team like mine that requires like high damage consistently almost every turn at least, then that's different.
Okay, question from Diego. What skills do you think a pro player / real good player needs according to you in TEMTEM?
I think it's knowing when to gamble. I think a lot of people like for people who say like this game is like a rock paper scissors or like a coin flip all the time, I disagree pretty hard. Like I think you should know in your mind when you need to gamble, when you should gamble, and when you think a gamble is going to pay off. And that all comes down to, and I say gamble, but I really mean like yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, if it's a 50-50 turn, right? Like, let's say I know it's like, for example, the turn I was telling you about earlier, turn 1, Grumper Vola versus Grumper Ukama. How do you figure out in your head? But that also depends on what's in the back, right? What if I had something in the back that was way better for that than staying in? So it's knowing. Diego, I think that comes with it's so two things. Like application of your knowledge, and then like just knowing the game isn't going to help you as much as knowing the game and being able to put it into practice. Theory crafting a team, like I've theory crafted so many teams where like it sounds so good when I'm theory crafting it, but then I'll run in there and I'll use it and I'm like, this is fucking awful.
That's definitely happened to me a couple times.
So it's definitely, you got to factor, like you got to know, like, so applying is super important. And then again, like I stress this so much, like game logic is only one part, habit reading is the other. And I say habit reading, which is going to be like super hard if this game gets bigger during full release. But right now, right, like if you think about the number of people that play this game, like think about the names that you hear playing a tournament on a consistent basis. It's generally like the same group of 20 to 30 people on any given week, just depending on the week and depending on the times who's playing. So once you start playing those people over and over again, like you can start reading kind of what they like to do.
Can you see my screen?
But Diego, the other thing I will say too is to what you just said, like hardly of them are useful. That's also not like 100% true. Like while they may not be successful right away, like if you think about if you think about it, like you're learning a lot. Like you're learning why they don't work, when they don't work. There's a lot that goes into that. So you're learning which TEMs are better in certain situations, which TEMs are worse in certain situations. And the more that you try, the more that you know. Like I know like for a while, like right when Kiswa came out, I was running Nesla, Babawa, stuff like that, just to see how they work. And I definitely think that those are TEMs that could work in another situation, not necessarily what I was running them with. But until you really experiment and try to work with different combinations yourself, instead of just taking, like, if you just listen to other people, right? Oh, Nesla, shit, you can't use Nesla right now. Then you'll never actually know what Nesla's limits are. Or if you see a Nesla, you might not know what to do, right? But you using it yourself, you're increasing that knowledge base.
Yeah, that's actually right. So do we have any other questions, or should I ask him some of mine again? Because I have some in my pocket that I always wanted to ask him, one by one.
You'll get there, Diego. Don't worry about it. Like it definitely, and it helps. Like I won't lie, like being in Ronin has helped a lot. Just because I know, like when I first came to Ronin, I was dog shit. Like we we held tryouts for Club Wars, and I didn't make a single lineup through like the first season. I never made it into the top 5 to represent the club. And I tried out for every single one for like the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then I think I made like the 6th week. But like it definitely takes time, dude, and just get a good group of people around you. I know Saga in here, he likes to help people out, and he likes to try to bring in people. Like there's people, like reach out to people in the community. I know like tons of people will be willing to help you out, man. Like Magia helps a lot of people. Vossi, I've seen like helping people. Like Funky was the one who helped me out. I message Buff Duck all the time. Like these are people you can reach out to. Tsubaki, Gag Bump, like Heron, all these guys, awesome dudes. Like the list goes on. Like I could list out a whole bunch of like really, really good players that'll definitely help you out. So definitely feel free to reach out to us. Like, just look up Rickytan Discord, and if I can help you with something, I'll definitely help you out with it, man. But it takes time, and it's not easy, but it's definitely like you'll get there.
Why run 9 speed on Naga instead of 3 speed? 3 is all you need to outspeed 1 speed Naga, and would it be more future proof when the other TEMs get added? Also allows you to adjust up with hacks if needed. Isn't that a good thing? I have asked a couple of people this, but I'm gathering opinions.
I'm not sure. Honestly, Naga is one of those TEMs I haven't messed around with much. But I think that personally, if like, let's say, I don't know, Naga, I feel like, I haven't looked at it in the long run, right? Like I haven't looked at it down the long run, like which is better, 3 or 9, stuff like that. But I know that, I mean, some people run 3 to outspeed the 1. I personally, I just don't play Nagas. Like every team that I've made since Kisawa, I make it knowing that in my mind I'm gonna ban that shit first. But I mean, that really depends. I would definitely just look into the long run. In the long run, whichever one is better, then do it. That'd be my take on that.
Picky notes. Also, what do you think? Do you think a team can be built out of anything instead of like only meta TEMs and still work out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say anything, but you could definitely use quote unquote like non-meta TEMs. Like there's enough options in the game right now that you could definitely do that and still have a pretty good level of success. it just comes around again when you build that team, knowing its core, right? So you have to know what each TEM can do on that team, and if you know what that it can do and what it can take, and once you get that, like it's 100%, you can 100% possible to play off meta.
Let's see. So Agronaut is asking, how do you predict low TMR players? They always do some weird stuff.
Honestly, when in doubt, I probably usually just go with the simplest play. Like if I don't know what to do, I'm just gonna go with the simplest play. And if it's that, unless it's like a really, really big play, right? Like there's some plays that it's like make or break a
If it's that,
a
unless
game.
it's like a really,
But there's some
really
turns
big
that I'm
play,
like, okay,
right? Like
if
there's
this
some
turn I
plays
make a
that
mistake,
it's like make or
if I can see that there's a decent chance that I can recover, then I'll just
Wait,
make
why
the
am I
simplest play.
hearing 2 times? Okay, it's fine. Continue.
Right. Matt's exactly, he's like, that's exactly how you would explain it. Like you have to have, like, you can't just put 8 TEMs that you like together or 8 TEMs that are really good together and think that you're going to get results out of it. You have to have a core. And you have to know what that team's identity is. For the longest times, like I love Size Munch. For the longest time I tried to play Size Munch when Kiswa first came out, but I had no team core. And I think it was I messaged like 4 different people in my club and asked them like, yo, I can't tell if it's my gameplay, I can't tell if it's my team. And all of them looked at my team and they're like, this is just 8 okay TEMs put together. Like you have, like, what is your identity? Like what is this team supposed to do? And honestly, I couldn't give them an answer. So that's super important, is knowing the identity of your team. How do you want to beat people?
Correct. Makes sense. So Damble, it's Rickytan who's talking, and LD also who's talking. So Rickytan is one of the best PvP players around, and LD is one of the really good Luma hunters in the town.
Oh my
Tell him.
This guy.
Yo, Saga, dude, you're looking jacked today, man. What did you eat earlier?
Yeah, you saw it, right? 50 gram proteins in the breakfast.
Bro,
Just like that.
God. Bro, send me that nutrition plan.
Gotta check with Nikki. It's top secret for marriage purposes.
Bro, you're looking huge. Look at those medial deltoids. Holy sh...
Rickytan, please help me build a PvP team. I want to start PvP soon. I have no experience yet on PvP. What do I need to look out for?
So what do you need to look out for? Well, right now, Yaller, Momo, Raiken. You also need to look out for their counters, right? Like you can't just throw a bunch of their counters in there and think you're gonna be okay. You also have to think about their counters. So how do people counter those? So those are the other teams that you're gonna see, right? So your triple mentals. You also have to think about, you always have to keep in mind, because guys like Matt Gia exist, how you're gonna deal with toxic teams, right? So can you efficiently deal with a toxic team and out damage that win con? Because of guys like Prody, you also have to think about how you fare up against Doom compositions. Then you also have your Salad Stall team. So then there's your certain Yusaku Kinu teams. So it's like, so I know I just kind of threw a lot at you, but
I think it's mostly about what teams you are facing in your current like matches, right? You build accordingly.
But you can't just think about your current matches, right? Like for me personally, I think about it in the sense where it's like for example, like some people, they talk about, oh, like this person built a counter team. So for me on ladder, which for me, like I don't really worry about that, because for me personally, when I build teams, I do, if I can't beat somebody, and I've played them 2 or 3 times, I'll just reach out and see if I can find them and get them to play me a couple of times. Because if I can't find a team that I wouldn't bring to a tournament confidently, then that's not going to be the team that I use, even on ladder, because there's just no point for me.
True, that's true. So Health is asking, what do you think about slingshot Calibus?
Wait, Health, what the fuck are you hitting with a slingshot Calibus for 1/4 though?
Ask J Dragon.
Do you think some trapping 2 cage users plus Wolfie with liberty to move around, escapist, Turok, Wolfie, Grease, tenderness, spam, and some Doom support could work?
I think if you play Doom, that really depends. I'm not too experienced in Doom comps myself, but from what I've seen, I mean, your goal with the Doom comp, man, just bulk up your Tems as much as possible and knock shit out with Extinction. You also have to keep in mind, though, you do have to have enough damage on your team or enough ability on your team to kill certain things that can't be doomed. You can only ban so many of them, right? So you have to be able to kill the others. Or kill enough things that you can last a turn 30, one or the other.
I see.
And I don't even know if you need as many cage users on a Doom comp, because if you Doom something and they swap out, then they're wasting their turns 9 out of 10 times.
So time of night or just in time action. Here, take a look at this. So this is some of the like team comps, like archetypes that people have made that people use. But yeah, you can do some plus minuses in this and just use the basic type if you want. But it's better if you do some adjustments of your own to know what you're doing with your team.
I think it's easier to. I know it sounds like it's harder, but it's probably better when you're building a team to build your own team. Like, ask for opinions.
Exactly.
Definitely ask for opinions. Like, think about what you want to do with your team. Do you want to be fast and kill shit quick? Do you want to be bulky and kill shit with poison? Like, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to be bulky and do Doom? Do you want to take people to turn 30 and just deal consistent damage along the way? And hopefully you win before then, but if you don't, you always have that underlying notion that you can win by 30. You're confident in that. So know what it is that you want to do with your team, and then ask around and get opinions on what's kind of the best group, like core Tems to use for that, and then build from there, as opposed to taking other people's teams. If you copy other people's teams, no matter how good the player is that you copy, you will never reach that level, because they built that team and they built that team specifically for how they wanted to use it, and you'll never use it as well as they do.
So, Ricky, I actually made a video regarding the PvP, like introduction, right? How to make a basic team or how to start with PvP in general. Like, more parts of that are coming soon. But in the first one, I said this exact same thing. Like, if you copy someone else's team, they had a vision in their mind when they are making a team, right? So they exactly know what they are doing with the team, what they are countering and how they are playing it. No matter how much you try, you can't do it better than them. If you ever face that same person in the ladder, he's going to absolutely smash you, because like he knows the ins and out of the team and you do not. But if you create your own team with a vision of, let's just say, I want to be a Saku Salad player, I want to stall till 30. So you have your aim in front of you, and then you make a team around it by asking left or right or some people around, and I think that would be still way better than just taking a team from the meta. I mean, meta, of course, the meta team will make you learn the game faster or learning how the player play around. But still, I think in the long run, it's better to make a team of yourself, right?
Right. It's 100% better to build your own team. And it's like, we say meta, but it's like, right now, like, you have teams with Yowler, and then you have teams that don't have Yowler that kill Yowler, right? So,
correct.
So it's like, it's not, so there's a lot of different comps that are viable and usable. You just have to find what it is that your team wants to do. Start with 3 or 4 Tems that you want to build around, and then just go from there. and then kind of see how the pieces fit, right? So for me, for example, let's say I started with, I want to build around Scunch Riken. Okay, well, what's Scunch weak to? Mental, right? So what
Correct.
first mental you think of in your mind that you see? Kinu. Well, I have Riken, so
Correct.
I'm good. Now, what about Naga? Oh, well, I'm always first banning Naga with all my teams, so okay, we're good. Then, what else? Mix. Oh, you have Riken. Barn Sheep. Okay, so now you start thinking, okay, I should run some crystals, right? So on and so forth. So you start building out from there. You just think about what you like. So the core identity of your teams, like let's say you want Scunch, Riken, Gyalis, or like Size Munch, Gyalis, Scunch, for example. And then just think about what those three TEMs need around them in order to be successful, and how you can properly defend those TEMs so that they can become your win condition. Janice, I placed at like 1427, but like I said, back then I wasn't actually, like, I placed there, but I wasn't actually very good. I dropped down into like 1100, 1200 for a really long time, man. So I was down there, and like I said, I didn't make top 5 a single club for, I think it was like a tryout to rep the club. So I think I was in there for like, I was down there for a long time. I'd say like it took a couple months, but even once I climbed out of it, like it wasn't like I like, looking back, I still wasn't really that great at the game. I found a team that I kind of vibed with, but then once I hit the higher level players, like once I did cross, so I think it took me like 2 months, but then I crossed that kind of line, and I started playing guys like Funky, Buff Dog, Matt Gia, Ice Red. I played Heron, Tsubaki once or twice way back when, and that's when I started realizing like I'm actually not good at this game. I was just able to climb the ladder with a team that I felt that was pretty good at the time, but I didn't really know it. Like I was pretty much just I knew game logic, right? So once you know your game logic, and you'll be able to get into the 1400s pretty much. But then once you get up there, you have to truly know your team and be able to read other people's habits and things of that nature. So it takes a while. Like TMR doesn't like really mean that, like, just because you can cross a certain TMR like point doesn't mean that you're good or you know the game yet. So I wouldn't base it on that either.
I feel like that's a problem in all games that have MMR. Like people get so caught up on the idea of their number when like realistically it doesn't matter that much. Like you could have just had a really lucky week. Like there could have just been all bad players on that week that you were versing, like etc.
And yeah, it's like you could just be on a hot streak, and then you get up to the point where you can't just win being on a hot streak. And look, Matt's not kidding in chat when he said he used to farm me. Like I swear to God, when I first hit the 1600s, I think I lost like 5 games a day to Matt. Like it got to the point when I would log off at certain points of the day. Like I was like, I can't do this right now.
I mean, I can relate to that. If I lose like 5 or 6 in a row, I stop and do something else as well, because I know it's not the day I need to play, or not the time at least.
My problem for me is if I ever lose 5 games to somebody and I do get off, I can't stop thinking about it. For me, it's like, why can't I win, right?
So
there has to be a reason. It's either my team or it's me, and then I kind of have to figure that out. But like then I end up getting back on anyways, so it doesn't work out.
I can agree with that. Like when I first got into TEMTEM competitive, like the first time I ever like sat down and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna seriously try to learn this game and I'm gonna seriously try to like improve. Like there was a day where like I lost like, you know, like probably like 7 or 8 games in a row, just kept tilt queuing over and over again. And I think after I got off that day, I laid on my floor like on my back for like 2 hours, just thinking to myself like is it like, do I suck? Like I suck, right? Like, and now just all these different things in my head, and then you know you end up just getting back on, just like you said.
Did my team suck? Does my theory crafting suck? Did I make all the wrong plays? Like, what's going on here?
I know for me it's a combination of all of them because I'm not that good at the game. But yeah.
So guys, I hope you did like the Q&A. These were some of the best questions that I thought were worth cutting from the video or cutting from the stream and putting them back in together for the community to watch. It was like a 2-hour Q&A with a lot of inside jokes and stuff happening on stream, and it was going crazy, but I thought I should just cut the important parts and bring them here, so I did that. And guys, if you do like the content, don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share it to your friends, whoever are interested in PvP. And if you have not already seen the first part of my PvP guide, like the introduction, then I'm linking it up here. You can click on this and check it out. And the second part for that same guide would be coming out in probably next 48 hours, guys. I'll try my best. It's going to be around building your own team and how to check your resistances and your coverages on the website tem.team, and how do you get the basics down, guys. So until then, I'll catch you guys later. And if you want to hang out with us, then I'm streaming every single day. Feel free to come on twitch.tv/xsagax, and you can find me up. I'll drop the links in the description for our Discord, Twitch. Come hang out with us if you would like, and have a good day, guys, and please stay safe in this corona situation and stay blessed, guys. Peace.